Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down my week number 15 waiver wire ads for the 2024 fantasy football season, going in depth through my top 13 waiver wire ads that you guys don't want to just walk. You want to run straight to the waiver wire to pick up prior to week number 15. This is now officially the playoff edition. Some of you guys might not be in the playoffs yet. It might start next week, but for a lot of people, 12-team, 14-team leagues, the playoffs start in week number 15. So we got to make sure that we have some great waiver wire ads for you. Before we get into things, though, I would like to ask that if you guys are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, that you hit that subscribe button down below. Like it owes you some money. Leave a like on today's video, whether you are new to the channel or not. It would help me out a ton. If you want to follow me on Twitter or X, please do so at NotoriousFantasy. So without further ado, let's get into my top 13 week number 15 waiver wire ads for the 2024 fantasy football season. We begin with my number one waiver wire ad on the week, and that is Sincere McCormick, running back of the Las Vegas Raiders, going up against the Atlanta Falcons this week on the second game on Monday Night Football. Sincere McCormick is currently rostered in 11.2% of leagues on ESPN, so if you play on CBS, Yahoo, NFL, Sleeper, any other fantasy football platform, then the rostership percentage is going to be slightly different, though I will note in some cases there could be a drastic difference from one platform to another. Sincere McCormick could be rostered in 11% of leagues on ESPN and 30% on Yahoo, right? I don't know that for sure, but that could be the case, especially when you're talking about players that are higher owned. So Sincere McCormick, running back of the Raiders. Now, we talked about him last week, right? He's the running back with the very funny name that almost sounds computer generated, like you're in year 5 of your Madden franchise, and he has taken over from Amir Abdullah as the running back 1 on the Raiders. Now, being the running back 1 on the Raiders isn't the most fruitful position, right? They don't end up having Aiden O'Connell anymore. They don't have Gardner Minshew, so it's going to be Desmond Ridder, and obviously we all know that Desmond Ridder is far from ideal, even in a revenge game spot up against Atlanta. But ultimately, if Sincere McCormick continues to play how he's been playing, he is start worthy if you are down bad at running back, and this is a okay matchup up against the Falcons. Running back 24 last week up against the Bucs in Tampa, 15 rushes for 78 yards, 2 receptions on 3 targets for 11 yards. Again, he took over from Amir Abdullah as the running back 1. McCormick played 61% of snaps last week, Abdullah 39%, which was basically a complete and utter flip from week 13 to week number 14, because in week 13, it was still Abdullah's time to shine. Now, Zamir White and Alexander Mattison have continued to miss, and even if they do come back, McCormick could still end up being the guy. Again, the quarterback situation here sucks more than Mia Khalifa, but McCormick is a high value add at this point in the season for those of you who are down bad at running back. Next up, we move to Tank Bigsby, running back of the Jacksonville Jaguars, going up against the New York Jumbo Jets at home in Duval. 35.6% rostered on ESPN for Mr. Bigsby. Running back 18 last week in PPR at the Tennessee Titans. 18 attempts for 55 yards and a tug, as well as 1 reception on 2 targets for 7 yards. I also should have noted this when we talked about Sincere McCormick, but the finish on the week, regardless of its running back, wide receiver, quarterback, or tight end, is prior to Monday Night Football. This video will be released prior to Monday Night Football, so I can't just rub the crystal ball and tell you exactly where these players are going to finish after Monday Night Football. So the rankings are subject to change, right? 18 carries for him in that matchup in Tennessee, 55 yards and a touchdown, as well as 1 reception on 2 targets for 7 yards. In terms of the snap share at the running back position, Bigsby saw 53% and Travis Etienne saw 47%. Bigsby had 18 carries and Etienne only had 4. Etienne, though, did get more targets with 4 compared to Tank Bigsby's 2. Now, I am not ready to throw the crown Burger King style right onto the head of Bigsby as the clear lead back in this offense, because I don't trust Doug Peterson at all, and I just don't feel 100% confident that Bigsby is the guy just yet, even though for weeks I've been talking about how Bigsby is significantly better than Etienne, but this is good progress, and even with the Jaguars offense having erectile dysfunction, they're a very dysfunctional offense, especially without touchdown Jesus Trevor Lawrence. I do believe that if, the cards come out right, if Mac Jones plays decent, and if the Jaguars can just stay competitive in games, and Bigsby's the guy, with how skilled he is, I do believe he has the upside to become a league winner, even though I am far from sitting here ready to give the Gawk Gawk 9000 special to Bigsby, even in a great spot up against the Jets, just due to the fact that they still do have Tank Bigsby at number 3, or they still have ETN. At number 3, we have Adam Thielen, wide receiver of the Carolina Panthers, going up against the Dallas Cowboys at home in Carolina. 38.7% rostered on ESPN, which is honestly shocking because I would have thought, based upon what we've seen recently out of Thielen, he would be in the above 50% mark. Now, he was the wide receiver 15 last week up against the Eagles in Philly. 9 receptions on 11 targets for 102 yards. Honestly, he completely beat out the expectations that I had on him. The Philadelphia Eagles defense, as of recent, has been playing lights out, and while Bryce Young's been playing a lot better, I did worry that this might be a scenario where everyone's kind of now getting on the Adam Thielen bandwagon. Everyone's starting to give him the Sukalamink special, and then you play him and you get socked right in the kisser. But that didn't end up happening because Thielen played great, right? 9 receptions on 11 targets for 102 yards, marking now back-to-back Michael Jordan 96-97 games with 10 or more targets. In terms of the Panthers wide receiver snap counts, Leggett played 87%, so did David Moore. Thielen played 75%, but he led the team in targets. Tompkins played 15%, and Chisnia played 8%. So again, Bryce Young's continuing to play better. I get the Dallas Cowboys defense has been playing a lot better as of recently, but if you're a wide receiver getting 10 or more targets in back-to-back games, and it is projectable that he should see that again this week up against Dallas, I do definitely think he is a solid start. And if you don't need running backs, Adam Thielen would be the number 1 waiver wire ad. The only reason why the running backs typically are higher than a wide receiver like Adam Thielen is just because the running back position is a lot more barren, whereas the wide receiver position just really isn't in terms of fantasy football. At number 4, we're staying with the wide receivers, and we got Cedric Tillman, wide receiver of the Cleveland Browns, going up against the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City. 36% rostered on ESPN for Mr. Tillman. Now, Tillman is still in the concussion protocol as of today on Monday, so that is something to follow. He has now missed back-to-back games in a row, which is obviously no bueno. He did miss part of that Steelers game as well due to the concussion. Prior to the bye, though, he did rip off 3 straight games with 18 plus PPR points and 9 or more targets in all 3 of those games. Now, at this point in the season, we're in week 15. To me, I do believe that Tillman isn't the locked and loaded wide receiver 1 on this team. I do believe that Jerry Jeudy may have easily eclipsed him as the wide receiver 1 on the team, but with how good Jameis Winston has played, Tillman is a great ad, even if he isn't healthy enough to play this week because of all of those games prior to the bye with how good he looked. And again, Jameis is playing some great football. Next up, we move to the running back position with Isaiah Davis, running back of the New York Jumbo Jets, going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville. 3.4% rostered on ESPN. Now, Isaiah Davis last week was not a guy that was largely on my radar. Now, I heard some people talking about, Isaiah Davis, he should be able to outscore Braylon Allen. Maybe he'll outscore Braylon Allen. And honestly, I kind of dismissed that. I was like, you know what? I really do believe it's going to be Braylon Allen's time to shine because at points this season, Braylon Allen was throwing Breece Hall on the cuck chair and seeing a bunch of opportunities. So why would it not be Braylon Allen? But in reality, it kind of looked like Isaiah Davis is the better of the 2 backs. 10 rushes for 40 yards in Miami. Dale, 305 and 1 touchdown, 3 receptions on 6 targets for 27 yards, now marking back-to-back weeks with a touchdown. Jets running back snaps last week, Braylon Allen played 54%, Davis 53%. So Allen had 11 carries compared to Davis's 10. Allen had 43 rushing yards in that game where Davis had 40, but Davis was the one who scored the touchdown. Allen had 4 catches for 38 yards. Davis had 3 receptions for 27 yards. Now, without Breece Hall, both of these guys do feel startable, and honestly, I do believe that Davis looks slightly better and has the touchdown equity, but again, that's not really a hill I would be willing to die on, being like, I declare, I really do believe that it's a guarantee that Davis outscores Allen. I would not go that far. Now, the news from prior to the Dolphins game from Adam Schefter was that Breece Hall is not expected to be shut down for the season with the knee injury, but obviously that could change at any given point, right? The Jets are dead. They are eliminated from the playoffs. They are sleeping with the Fishes. Shout out Luca Brasi. So this is definitely something to monitor, but if you have Breece and don't have Allen, you definitely want to jump on Isaiah Davis. Same thing goes if you're down bad at running back. Even if it's not a guarantee that he's going to be getting a bunch of snaps for the rest of the season, he is worthy of an ad. Next up, we got Quentin Johnston, QJ, wide receiver of the LA Superchargers, going up against the Bucks at home in LA. 55.9% rostered on ESPN for Quentin Johnston. But before we talk about QJ and the rest of the waiver wire ads for the week, I would like to give you guys a quick word for our friends, our partner over at Underdog. If you're brand new to Underdog and sign up using promo code Notorious, you will get your free pick, which tonight is going to be Joe Burrow, higher than half of a total yard, plus a first-time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash. So if you sign up using promo code Notorious, you're going to go ahead and pick Joe Burrow, higher than half a total yard if you are a first-time depositor, plus a player on the Cowboys or someone playing on Thursday Night Football in Week 15 or on the Sunday games or on Monday. And if both of your picks hit, you'll get 3 times what you put into your pick'em. If you do multiple other picks, they all have to hit, but the payout will be higher. If you're watching this after Monday Night Football, you're like, Nick, what happens now? Well, your free pick will either be an NBA player higher than half of a total point or a different quarterback higher than half of a total yard. So make sure you guys check that out. Promo code Notorious plus a first-time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash. So back on into things. Quentin Johnston this week going up against the Bucks. A very solid matchup for him. Wide receiver 20 in PPR last week at the Kansas City Chiefs, where the Chiefs used their fucking gypsy witchcraft black magic to win that game. 5 receptions on 7 targets for 48 yards and a touchdown. I mean, come on. Any other team, the kick goes like that. It hits the fucking post. That thing's coming back the other way. A clear L. But because the Chiefs have some sort of fucking satanic rituals that they do, the ball just ends up going in. It's kind of sickening to watch at this point just how lucky those fucking bastards are. Nick, Patrick Mahomes is really good. Nick, I just love the taste of Patrick Mahomes' nutsack. Oh man, I love him. Look, I like Patrick Mahomes too. I think he's a great quarterback, but come on, man. This is fucking fugazi. Johnston was on ice like a bottle of champagne, though, for the prior 2 games, but I do believe better days are ahead for him. I don't think anyone actually wants to play Quentin Johnston, but due to the matchup up against the Bucks and due to him being attached to Justin Herbert, the upside is always high, and obviously if Ladd McConkey was to miss again, that would make me even more confident in Quentin Johnston. Next up, we move to Patrick Taylor Jr. Who the fuck is that guy? Running back of the San Francisco 49ers versus the LA Rams, going on Thursday Night Football, 4% rostered on ESPN. He was the running back 28 in PPR last week up against the Bears. 7 carries for 25 yards and a tug and 1 target. Now, the reason why he ended up getting work towards the end was because Garendo got hurt in 49ers running back fashion, right? Everything's looking pretty for Christian McCaffrey. Nope, he's injured. Everything's looking great for Jordan Mason. Nope, he's injured. Oh, look how Garendo's running. Ooh, Garendo's looking good, man. Kyle Shanahan, this is a fucking running back factory. Look at Garendo. He's going to be this league winner. Whacked out of the game. Now, Garendo says he feels fine after leaving last week's game with a foot sprain. Kyle Shanahan, coming straight from the horse's mouth, says that he tells the reporters that he'll be evaluated over the next few days. It sounds mild, but since we are on a short week with this game being on Thursday Night Football, that could lead to him missing. So if you are someone that picked up Garendo and your running back situation is looking real murky, like that Drake song with that guy from England, and he's like, look at her breasts, looking all perky, looking all Christmas gift wrap, looking all turkey. What's that guy's name? I don't know. That's the song from More Life. But Patrick Taylor Jr., if given the shot again, the 49ers just seem to be a running back factory, so he would be startable. Next up, we move to player number 8, Romeo Doubs, wide receiver of the Green Bay Packers, going up against the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle. 41.3% rostered on ESPN. He has now missed 2 games in a row with a concussion, and he is still in concussion protocol. If he does end up coming back with the Packers offense looking on point like Chris Paul, you could always throw him out there as a dart throw, high upside start. He has not been great as of recently when healthy. The Packers have a lot of wide receivers. I talked about this in the summer, and we talked about it throughout the season. And if you are new to the channel and you haven't heard me say this, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button down below. Like I owe you some money, leave a like on today's video as well. But what I normally say is, hey, Jordan Love is kind of like Oprah, right? You get the ball, you get the ball, you all get the ball, right? Check under your seat, you get the fucking ball, Christian Watson. You get the ball, Dontavian Wicks. You get the ball, Doubs. Last week, Jaden Reed, you don't get the ball. Go fuck yourself, right? But, Romeo Doubs, he's going to have the games where he does nothing, where he does diddly squat. He's also going to have games where he has 6, 7, 8 targets. So, again, while he hasn't played great recently, he is worthy of an ad due to the upside. Next up, we got game number 9, player number 9, Jalen McMillan, wide receiver of the Tampa Bay Bucks at the Los Angeles Superchargers, 8.5% rostered on ESPN. Now, we've been talking about Jalen McMillan for a while. If this guy can catch, he's going to be phenomenal. He's going to be great for fantasy football because the team loses Chris Godwin. They have Mike Evans, and Jalen McMillan could be Chris Godwin 2.0, right? Timu, Chris fucking Godwin, right? But the problem was, prior to last week, the trouble of, firmly grasping the football, shout out to SpongeBob, was a huge issue for him. And it was something that he couldn't escape from because even when the targets were coming hefty, like the garbage bags, he wasn't really able to do anything with it. Last week, though, he shook it off like that Taylor Swift song versus the Raiders as the wide receiver 8, 4 receptions on 7 targets for 59 yards and 2 touchdowns. In terms of snap counts, Mike Evans played 82%, McMillan 79%, General Sterling Shepard 48%, Jarrett 16%, and Trey Palmer 11%. So while I'm not going to sit here and just give this man fellatio, metaphorically, of course, and be like, oh my God, he had one great game, guys. It's time to fucking play him. Whip out the red carpet. It's red panty night for Jalen McMillan. I don't think that's the case, but I do think if he's on your waiver wire with how good Baker has played, with how good this Buccaneers offense can look, Jalen McMillan is definitely worthy of a bench stash. Next up, speaking of bench stashes, we got Elijah Moore, wide receiver of the Cleveland Browns, going up against the Kansas City Chiefs at home in Cleveland. I'm sure all of America is going to be rooting on the Cleveland Browns in this one. 23.6% rostered on ESPN. Now, last week didn't go so kindly for Elijah Moore, even without Cedric Tillman as the wide receiver, 48 in PPR in Pittsburgh, 3 receptions on 4 targets for 35 yards. But even if Tillman returns, they do have a great trio, a great threesome at the wide receiver position, a better threesome than that video I saw with Mia Malkova, Riley Reed, and Angela White. So I am very excited about the upside that Elijah Moore possesses. Now, is he this super safe condom wrap around your team? Fuck no, baby. But if Cedric Tillman misses again, the upside is really there. And even if Cedric Tillman comes back, Elijah Moore, any given game, could lead this team in targets. And as we talked about earlier, famous Jameis Winston has been playing very, very solid. Now, even though he has the turnovers, those boneheaded, stupid decisions, right, where he just throws the ball directly to the team wearing the wrong color jerseys, it does lead to a lot of passing output for the offense. Next up, we move to famous Jameis Winston, the crab leg stealer himself, quarterback of the Browns, going up against, you guessed it, the Chiefs, 19.9% roster on ESPN. So if you're now kind of hunting for a quarterback, I get that the Chiefs matchup isn't all sunshine and rainbows, right? The Chiefs matchup isn't this wet dream matchup. It's not like you're screaming like Paul Revere talking about how you need to pick up Jameis Winston. You need to play Jameis Winston as this top 10 quarterback, but the upside is always there. Last week, up against the Steelers in Pittsburgh, in what would be, in my opinion, not a great matchup for a quarterback, he goes 24 of 41 for 212 yards and 2 touchdowns, but he also had, he's Jameis Winston, so you get 2 picks with that as well, and 4 rushes for 28 yards. I don't think anyone views Jameis as a safe option, right? But Jameis has the upside to destroy a defense in any given game. It doesn't matter who the defense is, right? He could have a huge performance up against the worst defense in the NFL just as easily as he could have a huge performance up against one of the better defenses in the NFL. So again, while Jameis is as safe as using some Snicker bars wrapper as a condom, I do believe, and someone did do that in my high school and it didn't end up going too well, but Jameis Winston, the upside is going to be there for him in any given game, even if it would be stupid to be like, oh yeah, Jameis Winston, he's this super safe bet. Next up, we got another quarterback. We got Matthew Stafford, Matthew Snapback, quarterback of the LA Rams, going up against the 49ers in Santa Clara on Thursday Night Football, 38.1% roster on ESPN. Now, there are no teams on bye this week, so it shouldn't be this crazy, oh, I need to pick up a quarterback, but if you are down bad at quarterback, I definitely think Stafford could be an ad. Now, I understand the 49ers defense did play phenomenally up against the Bears last week, but that's the Bears, and this is the Rams with Matthew Stafford. Quarterback 7 last week up against the Bills in a thriller, shout out Michael Jackson, of a game. 23 completions on 30 attempts as the QB7 for 320 yards and 2 touchdowns. Anytime you have a quarterback that has Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua has a great duo at the wide receiver position. They have other players as well. The upside is always going to be there. Now, Matthew Stafford isn't the best fantasy quarterback. Why? You might ask, because he can't run the ball, right? And when you can't run the ball, that does limit you, right? It just does. These other quarterbacks get these free brownie points. Oh, you rushed for 50 yards. Here's 5 free fucking points. Oh, you ran in a touchdown in a lot of leagues. You're getting 2 more points compared to if you passed a touchdown in, right? So while that does hinder an old man unk like Matthew Stafford, he does still have it. And the 49ers defense isn't the 49ers defense that we're kind of used to. This is more of a raggedy defense in comparison. So I do believe that Matthew Stafford still has the upside. So if you needed to pick up either Jameis or Stafford would be your guy. Next guy here, the final waiver wire ad of the week is going to be Juwan Johnson, tight end of the New Orleans Saints, going up against the left hands up. Who are we? The Commanders. 13.9% rostered on ESPN. Tight end 3 in PPR last week, going up against the G-Men in MetLife. 4 receptions on 5 targets for 50 yards and a touchdown. 2 of the last 3 games with 12 or more PPR points. Now, when it comes to Juwan Johnson, the reason why I like him, I know Derek Carr's hurt, right? I get Derek Carr's probably done for the season, this, that, and the other thing. That obviously sucks donkey cock for Juwan Johnson. But when you are on a team that is so devoid of weapons, right? They have no one besides MVS. Name another Alvin Kamara, right? Besides Kamara and MVS, name a wide receiver on the Saints. And don't cheat. Leave it in the comment section. Don't cheat. Try to name someone. Any name. Just think of one. It's going to be hard, right? Because there's no Olave. There's no I'm Shaheed, Rashid Shaheed. Everyone is hurt. This is a CFL, XFL level wide receiver core. So while I don't think Juwan Johnson's the top of the crop, right? The head of the table. Shout out Roman Reigns. I was going to say that it's more of the cream of the crop, I guess would be the term to use there correctly. But yeah, I don't think Juwan Jennings is really good. Juwan Johnson is, the cat's pajamas or whatever kind of old head reference you want to use. But when your team sucks as bad as the Saints, they need to throw the ball to someone. And Juwan Johnson could be sucking in targets at the efficiency of Kirby. 2 of the last 3 games with 12 or more PPR points. Again, do I want to play Juwan Johnson? No. No, I don't, because I don't like the quarterback situation, but someone's got to get the fucking ball, and it will end up being him. So thank you guys all so much for watching today's video. It is also important to note real quick that we talk about this in every waiver wire video as of recently. It's week 15. For most of you guys, it is the fantasy football playoffs. If it's not this week, it starts next week for you if you're in a 10 or an 8-man league or 8-person league, right? If there's only 4 people that make the playoffs, then you wait till next week. Pick up your handcuffs. Don't go into week 15 without your handcuffs, right? Don't go in there with, I guess Breece Hall probably not going to play. I've got Bijan. I don't have Tyler Algier, unless someone owns Tyler Algier, right? You want to make sure you wrap that condom around your team. Have that handcuff, because if something goes wrong, we just saw it. Kenneth Walker doesn't play. Zach Charbonnet dominates 50 Shades of Grey style. So make sure you have your running backs handcuffs, especially if they're one of those high-end running backs. Now, obviously, that wouldn't have worked out too well if you were a McCaffrey owner, because you would have picked up Mason. And then they both obviously are out for the season, but you get the point. So hopefully people watch to the end to get that standpoint. So I love you guys all so much. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you didn't end up enjoying, make sure you guys check out one of the videos that are on your screen right now. Make sure if you guys are new to Underdog, you sign up using promo code Notorious to get your free pick tonight. Joe Shiesty, higher than half of a total yard, plus a first-time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Love you guys more than you'll ever know. Hope you guys did end up enjoying. Hit that subscribe button like it owes you some money. Have a great one. As always, love you guys. Good boy!